Since we came here, he have been so abusive, beating me everywhere, and I don't have no family here, no mom and dad here. Without YWCA, I'll probably will be either back with him or moving from friend house to friend house, people house, be struggling, and I would have lost everything, my car and everything. I would be stuck with nothing. So what YWCA did for me is a grace they did for me, and I really appreciate it, and it has really helped me and my children.
These services are so important that they ensure someone's physical safety. So it's a matter of life or death in many cases.
We work within a population that mainly is isolated from support systems, from loved ones, from family, from friends. And we become that support system to them. What we do on an everyday basis is, at the most human level, powerful and impactful.
And if a client doesn't get into counseling at some point in their life to work through those trauma symptoms, it definitely starts to compound. So getting in as early as possible before these trauma symptoms get worse or really affect their everyday functioning is really important. But really at any time that they can come in, 5, 10, 15, even 20 years later to start the healing process definitely changes their whole life.
For more than 100 years, the YWCA Southampton Roads has been providing wraparound crisis services to victims of violence in our community. Women and children and men and members of our LGBT community, everyone, we're all inclusive here. We wouldn't be able to do that without our partners, such as the police department and other emergency shelters and even the public school system that help us provide services for victims.
Coordinated crisis response, how may I assist you?
Coordinated crisis response is the point of entry for the majority of our clients.
We are the regional hotline for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, stalking, and anyone that reaches out, we can offer referrals for emergency shelter, housing, victim advocacy, counseling, support group, and just general follow-up. It's helped with community response to victims of violence because they're just calling one number, and then instead of them doing the legwork of being connected to resources, our hotline specialists are doing that for them.
The need for emergency shelter among victims of violence is tremendous. Our shelter is always full. We're always at capacity. However, as a YWCA, we've made a commitment to our community that we are not going to turn away those in the highest need, what we call imminent danger. So often we have to turn to hotels within our community to satisfy that need.
When they referred me to the YWCA never turned their back on me. They came to pick me up where I was and took me to a hotel and gave me a place to stay over there for a week so they can get room for me in the shelter. When they got a space, they moved me from the hotel to the shelter.
Her reason for counseling centered around domestic assault with her husband of 15 years.
She was recently sexually assaulted by a friend who she was allowing to stay in her home.
She came because she was raped earlier this month.
She was referred by her advocate in San Diego.
At the YWCA, we offer crisis and long-term trauma counseling to all survivors of interpersonal violence. We provide services to men, women, children starting at age 5 years old. So anywhere from 5 to 105. That can be somewhere from 5 sessions where someone comes in just to deal with the immediate symptoms of a sexual assault or domestic violence, or long-term up to 2 or 3 years because of how much trauma they've experienced over their lifetime.
My children they still go to YWCA counseling, and I was going to the domestic violence counseling too, and also they was helping me to for custody issue.
Our transitional housing is for those families who are in need of more support. So you may think about that victim who has never been able to work, or that victim who doesn't know how to handle their finances because of the power and control piece for their partnership. They weren't able to handle finances. Transitional housing is a 6-month program in which YWCA finances the apartment for 6 months. That's both rent and all utilities, 100%. They are able to focus in on training. So that can be any type of education needs that they have, so that they would be able to be marketable in the employment workplace. It gives them some time to build themselves up in order to be self-sufficient.
YWCA picked me and gave me transitional program, and they managed to find me a nice apartment with everything. They paid my utility bills, they did everything so I can be able to stack up my money and to get back on my feet. Without their help, I wouldn't have been the way I am right now.
Our rapid rehousing is for those victims who just need a little bit of assistance, that minimal assistance. We call it a light touch. So that would be someone who needs security deposit and first month's rent. That could be somebody who just got a job, and so we are able to provide a declining subsidy.
The YW will provide before care and after care services at 4 public Norfolk schools. The ages are 5 to 12, and each program begins around 7 to about 9 a.m. and then the children return again at 3 from 3 to 6 p.m. We're able to provide services to children of all different backgrounds and provide them with things that they might not be able to receive outside of our program, such as activities, cultural activities, and help them build up their social and emotional skills as they're part of our program.
Wherever they are in their healing, we're there. Whether that is a child that was indirectly impacted, whether that is an adult who was directly impacted, whether you were impacted by victimization yesterday, last week, last year, or years ago, we're there in every step.
I have my own house, my own job. I still have my car, I have my children. I'm living very happy. I have paid my rent for 4 months, and I've paid my insurance for the apartment, and I paid my car. I graduated my medical assistant, and these programs, YWCA and all the shelters that empower women, is a good program, and I thank YWCA so much from the bottom of my heart.